Welcome to Wrestling is Fiction, Episode 8. I'm Zach Hannigan with my partner, Darkstar Shady. We have a big week in our Wrestling of Fiction universe. Our Raw right before Clash at the Castle, and a SmackDown leading into the final SmackDown before Clash at the Castle. With that being said, let's get into it.
What's up, everyone? Before we get into today's episode, it's time to go through a few of our sponsors. First off, you can head to darkstarshady.com/wrestlingisfiction to find links to everywhere that you can listen to us. From there, you can head to our sponsors page where you'll find a few different links. First off, you'll find the official sponsor of Wrestling is Fiction, Gengar's TCG shop on TikTok. He sells Pokemon cards through his TikTok shop, and he also does live rip and ships where you can have him open cards live on a stream for his audience and mail you your pulls afterwards. I've also partnered with a company called W. They make gaming energy drinks. If you go to w.gg and use code DARKSTAR10, you'll get 10% off your next order. I recommend the Galaxy Grenade flavor, which is watermelon, guava, and lime. I bought a few of their shaker bottles and multiple tubs of their energy drink powders, and I take a drink to work with me almost every day, and it gives me the jitterless energy I need to get through each day. Let's get to today's episode.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Before we get into our SmackDown and Raw reviews, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are on pretty much all the platforms you get your podcasts on: Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon. So, keep interacting with those. It's the best way to let other people hear our stories. So, before we get into SmackDown and Raw, Steven, I actually wanted your thought on this because we have some WWE contracts coming to an end. If I'm not mistaken, I think Becky Lynch's is already up. What do you see her future? You think she's gonna make the jump, retire, wait and see?
I think she's just taking a long break. Where Seth is at home recovering, she has her daughter growing up a little bit to the age where she probably wants to be around for her a lot more. I can see her taking the better part of the year off, maybe not even coming back until next year. I know Tony Khan was asked about if he would sign Becky Lynch to AEW, and his answer was just, well, that's called contract tampering, and I don't want to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if quietly she did have a deal with WWE where they are keeping her, or at least they know they're keeping her again, even if she hasn't signed it yet.
I agree. I think we talked a little bit about it last week. I just don't foresee her leaving, with her husband also staying with WWE, and the schedule that they'll both be on the same show. So, also, though, we have a Chad Gable rumor. His contract is allegedly up soon, but it looks like he's getting a shot at the IC title at Clash of the Castle. So, I don't know. I don't see him going anywhere either, unless you know more about this than I do.
No, the only thing I've seen is that supposedly his contract is actually up before the title match. So I wonder if he was leveraging that title match for a contract, or if they were trying to incentivize him to re-sign by giving him that title match. I don't know. At the same time, talking about the title match, I don't know if it's a long enough reign for Sammy to have had, but I think it's time for Chad Gable to get that push, especially if he does have a contract on the line.
I was going to say, how many times are they going to let Chad lose while competing for that title? It feels like it's finally his time, and they got this Alpha Academy story going. Maybe they do play the numbers game against Sammy and actually get that title for Chad. But yeah, I agree. The title run isn't that long, but after Gunther's reign, I'm wondering if they want that title to change hands a little bit more often than it did.
Yeah, and I think this is Chad's 5th Intercontinental title match in the last year. So I think it's about time for him to either get it or stop getting shots at it. So I think where he's in a position where they want to re-sign him, I'm assuming, giving
I
him a
would think
title.
so. They've been giving him this massive heel push.
Yeah, so I think giving him a title is the right way to go at this point then.
All right, enough with the rumors. Let's talk about what actually happened. We had our SmackDown. When was that? 31st, last
Yeah.
day of May there. Kind of a underwhelming wrestling card, I would say. But, the end of that, AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes kind of made it all worth the wait.
Yeah, I was saying to you off air beforehand, I was just wondering if Raw has the better product right now because a lot of the SmackDown show was either forgettable or just not very interesting. Not very surprising either. Most of it was pretty well. If you saw this booking ahead of time, you'd know exactly who was winning everything. Um, there wasn't a whole lot to it that kept me super invested in SmackDown, aside from the fact that I knew AJ was coming out near the end.
Yeah, I was real in my feelings and sad going, is this really it for AJ Styles? Did he just accept he's not going to get another run? And with the Cody Rhodes coming out there, it made it feel even more authentic the way he spoke. But man, did I love that turn.
Yeah, I watch all of my weekly episodes in a live stream with a bunch of other people, and all of the comments the entire time were, "Okay, wait, is he actually going to retire right now? Is
I
he
know. I don't
actually
think anybody believed it till he was talking, and then you're like, hang on. Am
like?"
I mean, AJ said it himself. If he was going to go out on a match, that one with Cody would be a way to do it. But
Yeah, and
I'm, as a fan, I'm happy to see that again.
yeah, it obviously the whole retirement thing drew from Mark Henry's retirement speech, but even then, like knowing that it was pulling from another source that had that twist like that, but watching it, I still was just like, "There's no way! Like he's done. He's absolutely done."
Yeah. Well, I like. He honestly just said he didn't want to wait in line again. So that is one way to not have to wait in line. Make the champion want to fight you.
Yeah, it was a great way to end SmackDown. Um, yeah, it was just a great segment. AJ Styles looked really strong in it. Obviously, Cody Rhodes looked like he could have died in that Styles clash at the end. I don't know if
Yeah, I thought he was trying to do it on the steps for a second, and
yeah, and
then
I don't know if you saw Cody. He just went so limp at the end too. His face was just dangling. His mouth was open. He looked like he was ready for his own end at that moment.
really, really sold the Styles clash.
Yeah.
The lack of attempt for security to get around the OC for your WWE champion was concerning too.
Yeah, there was probably like what 10 officials that were just had two guys staring at them, and they're
Yeah,
like, "Oh
like,
man, we can't walk
oh,
around them."
there's no way. They didn't even try either. That was the best part.
Yeah, they all kind of just like pushed up against a roadblock and just kind of stood there, just like kind of watching and
Yeah.
yelling.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, we had a sighting from your girl, Blair Davenport.
We did indeed,
Um,
which
and
is
then
interesting because I have her later today as well.
something I think we all been clamoring for is a LA Knight mid card title run. Sounds like he's going to be Logan's next opponent, likely.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's surprised by that. I think I'm surprised it took this long to get to that point. But yeah, good for him finally getting something going again.
Feels like,
Um,
well, no, it's his time to win it too. Um, Not that they keep track of this, but thinking about heel and face title holders. If the IC title is going to go to a heel, then you feel like the US needs to go to a face eventually. Um, and yeah, I think LA Knight's ready. I think he'll have a hell of a US title run if he wins it. And maybe finally it'll put him into the echelon of competing for a WWE title down the road. Although I don't see him able to do it as long as Cody Rhodes holds that title.
Yeah. And I think the kind of interesting thing is Logan Paul hasn't had an amazing title run where he's defended it, but he's taken that US title out of the WWE and shown it off to a lot more people. So I think putting it from Logan Paul out to the everyday audience and then giving it to LA Knight would really kind of give him a bigger push where a lot more people have their eyes on that particular title as well.
Not to mention, LA Knight is likely not going to get more over than he is right now in his career. So he needs a title to back that love from the fans. Kind of similar to Mr. Jey Uso, who we can get into later.
Yeah.
Kind of admitting to everyone that, he hasn't been able to get the big win. I mean, I guess we could skip over to Raw already if you want. I don't know.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to SmackDown. We have Andrade and his match, which,
Yeah.
And then there was...
Poor Apollo Crews. They bring him back just to lose.
Yeah. I forget he wrestles still sometimes until they use him just for that. But, and then Chelsea Green and Piper Niven getting a win over Bayley and Naomi was a fun one.
I love the ending of that match of Piper just going, fuck it. I'm just going to smash who's ever on this ground. Then throws Chelsea back on top.
Yeah, and Chelsea was so dazed. She had no idea what was happening.
She's making a great... making herself look more powerful. A good heel run for Bayley here coming up for that title match. So,
yeah.
And I'm glad Chelsea's finally getting some wins and not just getting smashed.
Yeah. Even if it's not quite of her own doing and she's just literally thrown on to the win. And then I do want to say, I really like how you're using the Bloodline in your story versus what they're doing with them on SmackDown.
It kind of feels like a recycled story. Like, we get it. KO, you hate them.
Yeah.
You lose every time you fight them, though.
And then having Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa go against the Street Profits.
Yeah.
Like I know the Street Profits, both of them individually have a lot of upside, a lot of talent. But as a group, I don't see them on the same level as the Bloodline at all.
Well, I don't think we know what the Bloodline level is with Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga. I mean, we haven't seen a ton of them.
Yeah, but just the fact that they're supposed to be positioned as the top group still, and I don't see Street Profits being in that top group status, even though they have the potential right now.
I agree. I don't know that there is a very strong tag division for the men right now in general. But also, too, going back to the Bloodline, I kind of like this angle Kevin Owens taking, that Paul Heyman is this mastermind setting this all up, which would be a hell of a twist. Doesn't seem that way. Paul looks scared to be around the Bloodline, but, he's a great actor, so...
And I'm really surprised that Paul Heyman coming out and talking about the Bloodline the way he is and talking about how fearful he is, that they didn't reprimand him at all.
Well, that's what makes me think that there might be more validity to what Kevin Owens is saying.
Yeah, like you think that Solo would be like, Paul, what gives you the right to come out here and talk about us like this?
And say you wish that Roman was here.
Yeah, like, unless there's a really big fallout to that next week, I don't know if it makes sense in character for any of that to have happened.
Yeah. Thinking about this Raw, it was kind of the return of the Judgment Day. The powerful faction kind of finally got it back together. Finn Balor finally gets a win. I don't remember the last time I saw that.
I really want to talk about that match because Finn Balor is another guy who's positioned at main event level. He's had multiple title shots in the last year, and Dragon Lee isn't positioned that highly, but they made it seem like they were at an equal level of power. And I thought Finn should have won that match a lot cleaner. I thought he should have been a little more dominant and not to the point where he needed the distractions to beat Dragon Lee.
I agree. I didn't like the distractions for him to win. I know that's kind of Judgment Day's thing, but he's talented enough to have just won that on his own.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think I minded there being extracurriculars outside of the ring, but I don't think it needed to be the deciding factor in the match. I think that they made Dragon Lee look way, way too strong against Finn Balor.
Going the opposite way, I thought they made Carlito look way, way too weak against Strowman. I know Strowman's huge, but this reverse chokeslam finisher, he just throws Carlito on his face and that's it.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with Braun Strowman. He's kind of just popping up a little everywhere right now.
Yeah, I guess this whole thing is I don't like bullies, and Judgment Day does seem to be the biggest bullies on Raw. So,
yeah,
I don't like this LWO clash with Judgment Day that much, but
yeah, they're kind of overextending them by having them in all of these different feuds, all kind of overlapping. It does make the entire show feel like one show. It feels like you're watching an episode of a television show rather than a bunch of smaller mini events.
Yeah, this was a Judgment Day storyline, which I think people are interested, starting with the Liv and Dom thing. And I love Pat McAfee and Michael Cole going back on this teleprompter, pausing, him smiling, drawing it out. I was like, oh man, they're really wanting to catch this guy. Yeah, I think Michael Cole might be the biggest hater of Dominic Mysterio. I know JR really hated Kane, but this is some serious hate from an announcer for a superstar.
Yeah, it makes it really fun to see Michael Cole get so worked up about Dominic, and I really like their sports style replay, drawing out the lines.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, when that was happening, I was watching Dominic's eyes to see if he kind of flickered over to Liv once or twice to see if they were building anything there. And credit to Dom, he stayed pretty strong. I saw a tweet that was Mark Henry's no longer the world's strongest man. Dominic is for not folding to Liv in the ring.
Yeah, you hate to say you feel bad for him, because I don't think I do, but the position he keeps getting put in, I mean, eventually Finn's not going to be there to step in between them.
Yeah,
I don't know how much Dom wants her to either.
No, I don't think he was supposed to break character and smile when Liv started playing with his hair, but
no.
But I think that was a good little improv as well from her to kind of get him to break and seem like he might be on her side a little more than he is. I don't know if you saw their social media interactions either, but Dominic posted a video of Liv just mass liking all of his posts on Instagram, and she went and commented on it, and she's like, "Oh, I love when you show me off."
Yeah, these are. I mean, they're both great at social media, and I mean, Judgment Day has had a really fun social media account anyway.
Yeah.
So
on that same video,
I like this modern day wrestler thing where they continue it outside.
Yeah. On that same video, JD commented, and he was like, "It's all the mustache's fault." But yeah, no, good on him for staying strong, but I'm really interested to see where the story goes. I'm really interested to see if and how this breaks up the Judgment Day. There's some new theories floating around that it's actually Finn who's going to be breaking away because he was partnered with Liv before the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I can see that. They got a bunch of ways to go with this story, and I don't know that they know where they're going. But it's fun while we have it.
Yeah, and the thing is, there is 3, 4, 5 different believable ways they could take this storyline. I just hope it leads to Finn getting a title shot at some point and actually winning it.
I do too.
There's so many other World Heavyweight Championship storylines right now with Drew McIntyre, CM Punk in the mix.
I
But
just hope that we don't get this CM Punk interruption to cost Drew the title again at Clash of the Castle. I just don't want to see that again.
yeah, and you almost feel like that's where they're going to take it.
But I mean, now he
But
also has Judgment Day to worry about. So it's like, is CM Punk even necessary? And they made
yeah,
Damian look pretty strong at the end of that, putting Drew through that table. Those are
yeah, and
two big boys, so
it was the same thing for Drew too. He got distracted about someone else again,
Michael Cole.
and yeah,
Like,
got distracted by someone else again, and turned his back on what he actually was looking for, and he ended up going through a table for it. But I don't know. Like I said, there's so many storylines, but I just want the payoff of Finn Balor getting a title reign, especially when they're ignoring all the friction that Damian caused with him in his previous title shots. Like, I want the
well,
payoff from that.
Steven, that's why we're writing our own fan fiction. We're writing these wrongs.
We are indeed. It's just, I want to see where they're going with it because there is so much potential there. But outside of the main Judgment Day part of all of the storylines, we had a little bit more going on through Raw.
Your
AOP
favorite
versus New Day.
little tag team showed up.
Yeah, they did. We had a. I don't even know if I realized we were having a women's tag team championship match on Raw.
I remember Shayna and Zoe winning the right for it, but I didn't know when they were going to do the match.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were just going to have it on Raw right after.
And I am tired of Shayna and Zoe getting right there and being made to look like not as strong a tag team. Pound for pound, I feel like they're probably just as strong as Bianca and Jade are.
Yeah, and if not just as strong, they're at least as physically, like technically
Yeah, I mean, a
sound.
believable tag team that can compete with them.
Yeah. So it was really interesting that Alba and Isla were the ones who came out and interfered and caused a DQ finish.
Yeah, and did we ever finish this whatever curse they put on people storyline yet? I mean, I don't
think so. They've been so underused as a tag team since they came up to the main roster. They pretty much got brought up just to take the women's NXT tag titles away and unify them into the SmackDown and Raw titles. Since then, I know Alba Fire's had a few solo matches. She was in the Royal Rumble, and a lot of their storyline has been talking about how Alba's gotten so many shots and Isla Dawn has gotten nothing.
Well, it seems like they're going to continue with something with those two, with that backstage interview they did with Jackie Redmond. So whether that's with Bianca and Jade or they're going to feud with Shayna and Zoe, who are probably upset their title match was ruined.
Yeah, and I like the "You're welcome, we saved you from losing."
I mean, they're probably right, but
I don't know that they'll see it that way.
Yeah, you want to see those things play out.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if it turns into a feud to get to the titles or if it turns into like a triple threat for the titles almost. But I am glad to see Alba and Isla getting time together as a tag team as well. What else did we have?
We got Lyra again being assaulted backstage from unhinged Io Sky, who I think has had about enough of Damage Control losing.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I liked seeing Io just kind of just screaming and throwing things around.
Something about screaming in Japanese just makes it sound way more intense.
Yeah, it was a very sudden attack as well, but I liked it.
I like the continuing after attacking to walk away and just throw shit everywhere.
Yeah, it almost feels like she was still back there from the previous
from the week before.
She just
Yeah,
had been on a week-long rampage of just throwing things around and attacking whoever she sees.
I
She did,
understand. I've had moments where I felt like that too. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, the women's division over there is getting interesting. And then we got Kiana James making her return.
yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, they seems like they only ever call up Natalia to put somebody over, take a loss.
Yeah, and
Unfortunately,
that's kind of what she does now. She puts
yeah.
other people over, but at the same time, you can tell she was kind of wrestling a little slower for Kiana James. So I'm a little surprised Kiana did win that one.
I'm not
Because
surprised she won, and for her, it's a tune-up match. That's really all it was.
yeah, she definitely needed it. I don't know if they have anyone else willing to just step in at any time and be the person to put someone over.
And I think with Natalia's resume, you're thinking to yourself, like, okay, that's a decent win for Kiana James to make her debut in.
Yeah, and kind of circling back, she's another person who is rumored to have a contract up soon as well.
Natalia,
Yeah, she's supposedly her contract is ending soon, and people aren't sure if she's going to re-sign or if she may look elsewhere. Because over in AEW, they have their like Owen Hart tribute uh, tournament or whatever it is going on, and people are wondering if
talk
they'd be
about
wanting to sign her.
pandering.
Yeah, so people are wondering if they'd be wanting to sign her to be a part of that.
I think AEW wants to do anything they can to make themselves more relevant.
Yeah, and I think that she is someone that has enough knowledge and background and experience to elevate anyone's program. But at the same time, I think AEW has a very poor track record of letting veterans in to actually be a mentor and not just to be a star.
All right, enough with AEW. I won't have any more of it. I guess.
But
No, I guess not. MJF is back.
he is. He's
I
back.
was
He's
hoping we'd steal him and he'd come on over to WWE, but
yeah, but he's got his AEW tattoo now.
I mean, he said
Proving
he's going to go with whoever pays him more, didn't he? He didn't even make
yeah.
it a like
Yeah.
it was not a secret.
Yeah. I still think that one day he does end up in WWE just because
I agree.
if he's in AEW long enough, he won't have a lot left to prove there. And everyone knows WWE is still the bigger company by
Yeah.
far. And when you get to a certain level, he's going to want to prove himself in the biggest
I
stage he
mean,
can.
it's like AJ Styles eventually just needed to do it in WWE.
Yeah, and I think if we give him another contract in AEW, and he does run through that roster, gets more title reigns over there, I think eventually he's going to be at the point where WWE, the WWE Championship, WrestleMania is all too big of a pull for him to not want to try for.
Exactly.
But
All
I will
right, we
admit I don't
promise
watch a lot of
enough.
AEW.
We
I'll say I
promise
don't watch
enough.
much of it, but I do always watch any MJF clips I come across online.
Yeah, I like him a lot too, but yeah, we're not an AEW show, so I promise you guys we'll stop talking about AEW now. All right, what else we got, Steven? Ludwig
Uh,
Kaiser rolls up. Sheamus gets a win. I don't think surprise there. That felt like it was going to be a Kaiser W. I am happy with the kind of pop Sheamus has been getting though since he's come back. He really seems like he might get enough heat for one more run at something.
yeah. Sheamus is missing the Intercontinental title, isn't he? That's the one he needs for a Grand Slam championship.
I'm not sure, but
I think it's the Intercontinental title that he needs. They're definitely letting him put some other people over right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he sticks around long enough to get enough crowd behind him to have another shot at a title afterwards. Um, but no, I like Ludwig Kaiser a lot. I like the match a lot. It was good getting to see him get a win on his own.
Yeah, and then we had Braun Breaker try to kill Ricochet again. Um,
Yeah.
thank God for Ilya Dragunov, I guess.
Yeah, and then we get Ilya versus Braun next week on free television.
Yeah, that's. I'm really excited for that match. And more and more they're letting Braun wrestle and face a little adversity in the ring. Ricochet gave him a good run.
Yeah. Yeah, Ricochet, like I said, he's been looking really strong the last few weeks. Um, a lot of people think he's underused in WWE. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that he is like fully main event level talent as far
I
as
feel like we see him a
outside of his
lot. I wouldn't
athletics.
call him underused. It just when he gets introduced and stuff, he just doesn't quite seem to get that pop. He needs to
Yeah.
do something else with his character.
Yeah, there's a very vocal minority out there that's upset that he's not main eventing and world heavyweight champion, and but
He's a
everyone
great
else.
wrestler and fun to watch, but I don't think in their right minds they can see him as a world title competitor right now.
Yeah, I think there's still something kind of disconnect between the crowd and him or his promo skills that's keeping him from that. But at the same time, he's athletic. He's featured almost every week. He um, gets to have a lot of fun out there, and he's traveling with his fiance. What more can you really ask for at that point?
Sounds like a pretty good life to me.
But yeah, he is looking really strong in this feud. He's getting a lot more like back and forth matches. They're making him very competitive, whether however the matches go. So it was a fun match. He's doing really well right now, I think.
Okay, so I said it earlier. This Jey Uso promo that he cuts in the crowd, I think, is obviously on purpose. Um, kind of send that message. He still wants to be the, for lack of a better term, people's champion right now. Um, announces Money in the Bank, and I got me thinking. I think he's probably gonna have to be a favorite. Obviously, we don't know who else is gonna compete in that, and they're already announcing Money in the Bank competitors. And Lyra Valkyria had an interesting thing to say about it before she was attacked. So um, I'm just surprised we're already in Money in the Bank season.
Yeah, I mean it is the next PLE after Clash of the Castle, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting it to be brought up quite yet. It kind of threw me off when that was what his promo was about, and that was all it was about. Um,
Yeah. I was also disappointed. I was hoping, like, oh, cool, maybe he's getting a title shot again. No.
yeah,
When's his friend Sammy going to throw him a shot?
yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't had a friendly one-on-one just to see what each other has, really. But no, at this point, he has to be a favorite, but at the same time, you have to remember he is always the favorite who loses.
Yeah, but
But
how many more of these things are they going to let him lose? Like, this promo that he cut really made it feel like whatever he does next is going to have to be the one.
yeah,
Because as much heat as he has, eventually fans are just going to be like, okay, well,
they have to give him something.
if he's going to keep losing, I don't want to follow the story anymore.
They have to give him something, and I don't know who else needs the Money in the Bank briefcase right now. Like, it's too early for Ilya to be in the main world title
Yeah, I
picture.
mean, everyone that realistically can get a shot at a world title seems to be getting them now. So,
Yeah. Um, Gunther won King of the Ring. He doesn't need the briefcase and a guaranteed title shot at the same time. Randy Orton,
be interesting to see if they put Finn Balor in it.
yeah. And at that point, I'd be very torn on whether I want Jay to have the briefcase or if I want Finn to pull a Damian Priest and show up in the corner with his briefcase.
Yeah, that'll be a fun topic to cover further down the line. Um, I guess we could get into our shows now.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to Raw that wasn't Judgment Day, it felt like. It all kind of turned into one big storyline through a lot of the show, and I don't have a problem with that. It made it a lot more interesting. Like I said, it felt like one cohesive episode of a show rather than a bunch of mini events.
Well, and Judgment Day hasn't had a night like that since Rhea Ripley left.
Yeah, and I do wonder how long she is out for, because I don't think I've really heard much of anything about that.
Seems like she's just having a good time hanging out with her husband and such on social media, so.
I do want to say I like Dominic's Rhea was going to kill you when she comes back. And Liv was like, she's going to kill you too, but I'll make it worth it for you.
Yeah.
But
all right. You ready?
yeah.
SmackDown.
We've got my SmackDown for the basically next week's SmackDown. I can't find my calendar. I don't know what dates are. So this would be the SmackDown for June 7th.
Yeah.
So I've got this and one more show before Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, and we're going to have the last Raw before Clash of the Castle.
Yeah. So SmackDown's actually going to open up with a probably 20-minute match. It's going to be a fatal 4-way for the Tag Team Championship. So we've got DIY coming out, Chase U, Wolf Dogs, and then Carmelo Hayes and Ricochet. So there was a DQ finish to the number one contenders match, and kind of everyone's been kind of feuding outside of DIY. Everyone's just kind of been going back and forth. So this match is going to be a pretty long one just because it is 4 teams, and the ref loses control almost immediately. No one's even sure who the legal people are at the very beginning of the match. It's kind of an all-out brawl of everyone. It finally ends up with Andre Chase and Ricochet in the ring together, and they're going back and forth, but it's one of those fatal 4-ways. People are getting tagged in and out whether they want to or not. And near the end of the match, it kind of goes into an all-out brawl again. It's almost to the point where you can't really remember who is legal, but the legal people at that point are going to be Johnny Gargano and Ricochet. But everyone's in and out of the ring, and Braun Breaker hits a spear on Andre Chase. But when he gets up, Ricochet comes flipping off of a springboard onto him, and when Ricochet knocks Braun down, Ricochet hits the mat as well. Johnny Gargano goes sliding over and hits him with a crossface and taps out Ricochet to retain the titles. Ricochet was kind of just unaware of who was actually in the ring, who was legal. But so he kind of took his eyes off of Johnny, who was just kind of waiting in the corner to pounce at his first opportunity. So DIY retains, and we just had a big 20-minute match to open SmackDown.
It's a hell of a title defense.
Yeah, a lot of it was kind of DIY, just sitting off to the side, taking their shots where they can, and kind of letting everyone else just tire each other out. And then after that, Adam Pearce is backstage, and he announces that there's going to be 2 women's tag team matches on SmackDown, and the winner of each match will face each other next week on SmackDown as a number 1 contender match for the tag titles. And that goes right into the first tag match, which is Dakota Kai and Io Sky versus Natalya and Tegan Nox. And the problem is Io and Dakota are kind of at odds with each other. They're not quite tagging as well as they should. Io's a little frustrated with Dakota having come out to try and interfere in the women's title match previously. She didn't want her there. She didn't ask for it. So they're honestly just looking a little rusty. And Tegan Nox actually gets the win over Dakota Kai, while Natalya actually has Io Sky in a sharpshooter outside of the ring to keep her from interfering.
Gotta be honest, I didn't see that coming. I thought that was a slam dunk win for Io and Dakota.
It should have been if they were in tune with each other, but they were kind of hesitant to tag each other. They were kind of a little skittish around each other. And Natalya and Tegan Nox have kind of been training together a little more. They've had this kind of weird friendship tag team at odds when they're in a Royal Rumble together, but they're very in tune with each other. And then that leads into a break, which then comes back to a singles match of Andrade versus Carlito. And I hate to say it, but Carlito doesn't look super great out there. He's getting kind of tossed around a little bit. Partway through the match, though, Dijak comes walking down the ramp. He doesn't do anything. He's just walking. He just kind of has his arms crossed. And Andrade takes his eyes off Carlito, and Carlito rolls him up for a quick little win, where he then slides out of the ring and runs up that ramp pretty quickly. And Dijak is just left standing there looking at Andrade, who's getting up in the ring. And that cuts to a break there.
What is Dijak's problem?
Well, when we come back from break, we're backstage, and Andrade goes up to Dijak, and he's like, "What were you doing out there? Why are you costing me a match by just coming out?" And Andrade looks at him, and he's like, "Don't think I haven't known that you've been watching me in the LWO for the last few weeks. Fair is fair. I'm watching your matches if you're watching mine." And they kind of just get into each other's faces before one of the backstage officials kind of pulls them apart from each other. And then that leads into Bayley going out to the ring. And she comes out holding up her championship that she's retained from our previous PLE. And she's talking about how she finally has her second win over Io Sky. Her story with Damage Control's done, and she's ready to look for a new rivalry, a new contender for her title. And that's when Liv Morgan's music hits. And Liv comes out. She kind of just sways out to the ring the way she does. She gets in the ring with Bayley, and she's like, "Yeah, your story may be done with Io, but my title shot was interrupted by Damage Control, and I'm not done with you yet. I want my shot at that title, and at Clash at the Castle, I want my rematch for it. You and I, one-on-one." And Bayley accepts it. They stare off at each other before they both get cut to break again.
I'm very nervous that Bayley's going to lose the title on your show.
We'll find out in, next week?
Yeah, I guess, if that's when they're fighting.
So then that comes back to our second tag team match, which is Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And they have a bit of a surprise opponent. So Blair Davenport's making her debut. And her partner is actually borrowed from NXT. We have Stevie Turner. So they're tagging together. They're friends. They're familiar with each other. So she actually gets a little call up for the week just to tag with Blair. Doesn't go well for them. Candice and Indy have been very in tune with each other. They've been very aggressive as well. So they start really just dominating the match early. Indy Hartwell gets Stevie out of the ring and just kind of slamming her against one of the announce tables, kind of just making her a non-factor, which leaves Candice and Blair in the ring. And very similarly to the other tag match, Candice LeRae ends up with Blair Davenport in a crossface to tap her out. It's actually a pretty quick match. Blair and Stevie weren't quite prepared, and Candice and Indy just have that mean streak going.
Yeah, not a great team to debut against right now.
Yeah, so that sets up Natalya and Tegan versus Candice and Indy next week on SmackDown. Winner gets a women's tag team champion shot. So then we've got 2 matches left on SmackDown. One of them was set up last week, and that's going to be Finn Balor versus Jey Uso. The two of them come out. It's very back and forth. JD is out at the ring at one point. He doesn't get a chance to interfere before Jay super kicks him off the side of the ring, though. Which kind of gives Finn a bit of a momentum push, and he does take control of the match. But he ends up kind of just not understanding how hungry Jay is to win at this point. And Jay does get a couple more super kicks in on Finn, before he hits an Uso splash, and he actually pins Finn for a 3 count, which leads to JD getting in the ring and attacking Jay. And Jay is kind of getting beat down by both Finn and JD before Damian Priest comes out, and he kind of pulls them off of Jay, gets him out of the ring, and him and Jay kind of are staring off at each other. But at the same time, they're kind of standing in solidarity against what's left of the Judgment Day. And that cuts to break before we get our main event, which is Logan Paul and Austin Theory, #1 contenders match for the U.S. title. Wesley is at the commentary table. He's not talking, he's just watching. And they've only got about 10 minutes for this match. Grayson Waller's on the sidelines. He's kind of cheering on Austin Theory, kind of just watching. And at one point, Logan and Austin Theory are in the middle of the ring, kind of facing each other off. And Grayson Waller jumps up on the side of the ropes. And both of them are distracted, but Logan kind of recovers quicker. And he hits Austin Theory with his one lucky punch and knocks him out in the middle of the ring and gets the 3 count. So Logan is going to be headed to Clash at the Castle for a U.S. title shot.
Maybe he gets his title back. A little more focused at this PLE, hopefully.
Yeah, so Logan's looking for that title. He didn't let Grayson Waller distract him too long. Austin Theory was kind of more wary. Him and Grayson have been a little bit more on edge with each other lately. But it closes with Logan looking over at Wesley, who's standing up at the announce table holding up the U.S. title.
Should be a good one.
Yeah, and that leads us into your Raw.
Yeah, let me pull up my notes here. All right, so this would be the Raw on June 10th, which is the final one before Clash of the Castle. So obviously, I'm going to set up a couple matches here. So Raw opens with Awesome Truth. R-Truth comes down, rapping his theme song. Miz is with them. They're getting the crowd hype. They're defending their titles this week. New Day earned the right to fight for him last week. New Day comes out. They're also getting the crowd hyped. It's kind of a party environment in there with these two teams. And this is kind of a longer back and forth match. I mean, these are guys who've been doing it a long time, work well together, especially the New Day. They've tagged a lot together. And, they have their opportunities to win. They just never seem to be able to get that cover without somebody from Awesome Truth being able to break it up. And it's kind of just that Awesome Truth's strength at the end of the day wins. This New Day gets worn down, and they are able to retain their titles.
Nice. I don't know if I'm surprised or not that you have Awesome Truth keeping their titles still. I didn't think they'd drop it now, but I'm a little surprised that they've had him this entire time.
There'll be more to this later on in Raw.
Okay.
Next, LA Knight's music drops. Crowd goes nuts. He comes out, hits him with the "Let me talk to you." Says he was this close to beating Sami Zayn last week for that Intercontinental Championship. And he's tired of playing second fiddle around here. He wants gold around his waist. And he's going to do whatever he has to do to make sure that happens. Sami Zayn comes out, kind of interrupts him and says, "We had a great match, and I'm not afraid to fight you again. I'll face you at Clash of the Castle for this title." LA Knight accepts. Crowd kind of cheers. They got a big IC match coming up. Goes to commercial. It comes back into Pierce's office, and it's LA Knight in there talking to him. And he goes, "You going to make this match official?" And Pierce goes, "Already done. You're going to see Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title at Clash of the Castle."
Nice.
So that'll be LA Knight's rematch and second match against Sami Zayn.
Nice. I'm excited for that one.
And then continuing our Final Testament Bloodline rivalry. Last week, AOP defeated Tama Tonga and Tongaloa in a street fight tag match. This week, we got solo action with Solo Sikoa and Karrion Kross, kind of the leaders of both groups going at it. And this is what you would think it would be. It's a slugfest, back and forth. I mean, they're punching the hell out of each other. They're clotheslining, or they're landing their offense. Solo's hitting his Samoan drops. Karrion's able to, he's strong enough to kind of toss Solo around too. So this match, you really don't know what it's going to come down to. It's just back and forth. And what you expect happens. Bloodline eventually comes out of the crowd and, tries to help Solo out. They get up on the apron, distract the ref. Karrion Kross is like, what the hell? Karrion's looking for the Final Testament. He's like, where are my guys? They need to take care of this. And AOP does come down there and sort of pull the Bloodline off the ring. But the distraction was enough. Solo's able to get up, and when Karrion turns around, he immediately gets hit with a Samoan spike. And with the brawl outside of the ring, AOP isn't able to break up the cover, and Solo gets the win. And the Bloodline wants to send a message. They didn't like losing that street fight last week, so they kind of continue to beat the hell out of the Final Testament. Solo gets a chair out. He hands it to Tama Tonga, and he's outside, just kind of beating down AOP. Tongaloa has a chair as well. Solo sort of stomping out Karrion. They want to send a message. They're kind of tired of the Final Testament. They don't think they're on their level. So we'll see where this latest beatdown takes us in this rivalry.
Yeah, this rivalry is so brutal.
That's what I want it to be.
I really like it. It's a lot more reminiscent of older WWE. I can see a lot more bloodshed, a lot more brutality. Yeah. I do have one
this
question.
Is very much two teams who don't like each other and two teams who are used to being the ones dishing out punishment. So
yeah, I do have one question about your in-universe Bloodline.
Yeah.
Does Solo wear the biker gloves in your universe?
the weekend gloves.
Yeah.
Well, in this, he didn't have gloves on because he was in a match. But I think he's got the gloves on.
Okay. Just had to know.
And they get the ring cleared, go to commercial, it comes back, Becky Lynch's music drops. She's still your women's champion, and she's coming down. She has a match at Clash of the Castle against Shayna Baszler. And she comes out and she says, I wish I could have faced my friend Lyra in Scotland. It would have been a big matchup for people from that area to represent. But, she says Lyra wasn't able to get it done. And I give it to Shayna. Like, she earned this shot, and I'm ready for a fight. But she won't be taking this title from me, not in Scotland. And Shayna interrupts, obviously, and she comes out and she says, you haven't fought an opponent like me. And it guarantees that she's going to choke out Becky Lynch for that title. And it kind of just ends in the two staring each other down there in the middle of the ring. So I know SmackDown has these number one contender matches going for the women's tag titles. But Jade and Bianca are actually defending him on Raw against Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. And this is kind of a surprising match for the audience and Jade and Bianca in that Ivy Nile kind of really takes momentum. I think she's stronger than Jade and Bianca expected. I know she's little, but she's real strong. And she's actually able to pick up Bianca and kind of throw her around the ring. Her and Maxine are tagging in and out, keeping the pressure on Bianca. And, Jade and Bianca are kind of just slow out of the blocks, but they're able to kind of pull together, get some striking offense going. Bianca does tag Jade, and Jade does what she does, kind of cleaned up shop and threw some people around. But they're not putting away Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. It's a little bit harder for them than they expect, and it's going on, and Jade and Maxine are kind of going at it outside the ring. Bianca's left in there with Ivy Nile, and Ivy's kind of taking it to her. She drags her back to the corner. Maxine kind of got the best of Jade in that brawl outside the ring, and again, they're tagging in and out, working well together. Not really letting Bianca run over to get a tag, and Bianca is eventually able to kick off Ivy Nile and make it across the ring for a tag. And she turns around, kind of waiting to tag somebody, and Jade's not there. She's still on the ground. Bianca's visibly frustrated, like, I've been in here getting my butt kicked, and, I thought my partner would be recovered by now. But she doesn't let it get to her. She's a champ, and she uses the opportunity to gain back momentum, hit her KOD, and eventually retain the titles for her and Jade. But as Jade slips back in the ring and the ref is raising their hands, you see Bianca kind of staring at Jade, like she's not really happy with her in this match, didn't think she gave her best effort, real frustrated about the whole thing.
Yeah, that's interesting match. I like seeing Ivy Nile be strong. Yeah, it's interesting to see the tag team kind of having a little bit of a out of sync moment.
And this cuts to backstage with KO and Ilya being interviewed by Jackie Redmond. Kind of an odd tag team here that's formed. Jackie Redmond is basically asking them, do you guys plan on sticking together moving forward? You seem to work well together. Ilya goes, Jackie, like KO, I just enjoy a fight. And if, the opportunity comes up for us to keep tagging, I'd be happy to do it. And they're interrupted by Tony D'Angelo and Channing Lorenzo, or Stacks. Family's not too happy about losing to them, and they're like, you got the better of us, but you haven't seen the last of us. And KO, being KO, just doesn't even say anything. He just hauls off and smacks Tony D'Angelo. And they're in a brawl back there, flipping each other over those cases and stuff. Refs come running in, break them up. And we cut back to the ring where we have a big 4-way tag match for our next number one contenders to face the Awesome Truth. And this is Tozawa and Otis representing Alpha Academy, Santos Escobar and Angel representing Legado del Fantasma. We have the Street Profits and the New Catch Republic. And this is an elimination match. So if your partner's pinned and covered, your team is out. And Alpha Academy is kind of eliminated fairly quickly. Tozawa starts the match for him, and Santos is just kind of licking his chops. He runs at him and immediately takes him out, beats him down, hits his finisher, and covers Tozawa to eliminate him. Otis tries to come in, but New Catch Republic's Tyler Bate comes out the ring and is like holding Otis's leg from the apron, so he can't get in there. Because it's in everyone's best interest. The less teams, the better it is off for you. And while New Catch Republic, Tyler Bate's out there messing with Otis, the Street Profits, they're in there with obviously Santos Escobar and the Street Profits really just kind of dominate this. There's not even another tag. They cover Santos, and those two are gone as well. So we're down to the New Catch Republic and Street Profits. And Street Profits get close, but Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate just kind of outclass them in the way they work together. You know, they have that unique strong style they're able to put together with strikes and tag team offense, and they eventually get to win. And you know, they're the new number one contenders against the Awesome Truth.
I like that match a lot. I do wish a lot more tag matches were elimination matches like that rather than just kind of free for all like I did.
Yeah, free for alls are hard because I feel like you can take forever to get a winner.
Yeah. I like the elimination style that you went with there. Not really surprised by who you had win it either.
Yeah, I'm a big New Catch Republic guy. All right, and kind of the moment that fans have probably been waiting for since last week. Cody Rhodes' music hits, and he was promised by Adam Pearce he'd have a new opponent to face at Clash at the Castle. Cody doesn't know who it is. Fans don't know who it is. Cody comes out. He does his "what do you want to talk about" speech, talks about his title run so far. You know, AJ Styles has been a worthy competitor. He said, and if his title run continues like that, it's going to be a hell of a run. And finally, Adam Pearce comes out and says, I have your new opponent as promised. Kind of goes quiet. Everyone's waiting in anticipation. And Brock Lesnar's music hits. And Cody's in the ring kind of shocked because he remembers that rivalry he had with him before he was champion. And Brock comes just walking out with that smile he does. Cody looks like he's seen a ghost. And Pearce just goes, it'll be you and Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship at Clash of the Castle.
That's terrifying.
I think I told you this last night. I still wasn't sure who I wanted the opponent to be. For a while there, I was going to go with Sheamus, but I have Brock sitting here on my roster, and about time to throw in a wrinkle.
Yeah, I was wondering how long before, if, when you used him. But yeah, no, that's a terrifying opponent to be suddenly thrown at you.
I mean, luckily Cody's faced him before.
Yeah, it'd be a lot scarier if he hadn't had 3 matches with him, but I don't know if anyone on 6 days' notice is ready for Brock Lesnar.
No. And then we get our main event that was promised last week. Tiffany Stratton is going to defend her women's national title again. And Zoe Stark was the one that earned it. And the match kind of starts out how you would think. Tiffany gains early momentum, and, you know, she's queen of the ring. She has this title, and she's really taunting Zoe, getting Zoe so frustrated. Tiffany's a little bit faster, I think, than Zoe thought, and more powerful. But Tiffany is kind of taking a little bit too much time in between strikes, letting Zoe maybe recover a little more than she should. She's getting arrogant, celebrating too much. And she has Zoe in the corner, kind of right where she wants her. She's celebrating, getting ready to hit her handspring corner splash that she likes to do to set up her finisher. And she goes for it, and Zoe catches her around the waist, kind of turns around and hits her with a German suplex. And, you know, Tiffany's not really used to being thrown around like that, but Zoe Stark's strong. And Tiffany hits hard, and it kind of stuns her. And Zoe starts to stalk her, waiting to hit her Z360. Tiffany kind of stumbles up. Zoe gets her on her shoulders, and she hits it. She hits her Z360, covers it, and gets that 3 count.
Ooh,
And Zoe Stark is your new women's national champion.
wow. I wasn't sure Tiffany would lose it that quickly.
Yeah, I think that's the first title I've let exchange hands on Raw. So,
Yeah, I think it is.
um, yeah, Tiffany got a little too big with the queen and the title. She didn't know how to handle.
That's fair. That's fair. She got a little overconfident, but wow, I'm still kind of shocked you let her lose.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I love Tiffy, but for my storyline purposes moving forward,
But yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
and I wanted Zoe to finally get some gold. I think she's too good to not have had a title yet.
Yeah, that's fair. What a show.
What a show. So outside of that, we're gonna have a good clash at the castle for folks. I mean, we got a Cody Rhodes title defense, a Sami Zayn title defense, a Becky Lynch title defense. Um, Sounds like a U.S. title defense is coming.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to have a U.S. title defense, and then Bailey and Liv Morgan are going to have their title defense as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of titles on the line.
Maybe we'll hear from the Final Testament Bloodline too.
Yeah, we've still got another SmackDown. I might set up another match or so for that. But yeah, so next week is going to be our Clash at the Castle. And then the week following will be our recap of WWE's Clash at the Castle, where we should have a special guest on our show, actually.
Yeah, excited about that. You guys will finally get to hear a different voice other than us rambling through the show.
Yeah, so when we were first starting to talk about this podcast and I put the art online, a guy who uses the name on TikTok, the Joncast podcast, he reached out to me. He was super interested in following our podcast when it got started. And we've kind of just kept in contact ever since. He listens to our show, and he said a few weeks ago he was interested in being a guest and just chatting with us for a while. And we decided that post PLE, when we have a bit of a bigger recap we'll be doing, would be a good time to have another voice in. Just let someone else come in, interact with us, give his thoughts as well. So I'll link his podcast in our description this week, and you can go check out his podcast. He's given us a shout out before. He's on Spotify, YouTube, everything. But he's going to come in, hopefully, for the episode after Clash at the Castle to do some recaps with us.
Should be a fun day. As always, not only should you like and subscribe his podcast, but do the same for us and share as much as you can. And now I'm going to send it over to Steven. He's going to shout out his socials, and we will get the hell out of here.
So yeah, as usual, if you want to find more of us than what's here, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. We don't dead name around here except for Twitter. But just at Darkstar Shady, you can see some of my other videos. You can watch me go live on occasion playing some games. And we post teasers about this show. I post about trading cards, video games. I talk about wrestling on Twitter. I post random pictures on Instagram of whatever's going on in my life. So give us a follow, and we'll see you next week.